Hello, it's the Property Talk. Joining me on the set right now, we at Nina Interiors, where our studio set is Mr. Vincent Agaba. Good to see you now, CEO Avats.
Thank you very much.
Now, as MD Avats, before we go any further, it's been the Landlords and Tenants Bill, which many stakeholders in playing in your same space feel like is doomsday. It's bad news for our economy. Key question here is, this bill is actually passed. What happens to the economy? What happens to the real estate sector?
Now, thank you very much, Mr. Dwin, and I thank you for the opportunity to be on the Property Show. Yes, there is efforts going around to have the landlord-tenant bill, and of course, as an industry, through the Association of Real Estate Agents of Uganda, Area Uganda, there's been a lot of lobbying happening. Yeah. Now, as the current status, the bill in its entirety is not bad, because we needed to have the relationship between the tenant and the landlord streamlined. In its
so what you mean here is the bill for bill's sake as a bill would not be a bad thing?
No, not for sure.
It's the content.
It's the content. And this content, we have gone through it. We have submitted under the association all our professional input. And we had an opportunity last Friday to meet with the Minister, Honorable Yomunsi, who came to the monthly meeting of the association. And actually, most of the things that were actually disturbing us, like, charging rent
in shillings and not dollars.
Those things, actually, we thank the government. They were able to listen to us, and now they have said, you know what, you can charge in the rates you need as long as you have agreed with the tenant. And I think that's a good thing.
But is that going to be included in the bill then?
Yes, because they have done amendments. And those amendments are supposed to actually have all these things in place.
To the Ugandans that are watching right now, cite for us some of the amendments that would have made the bill a bad bill that actually are being considered to be amended to make it better.
Yeah, offhand now I can actually remember one of the things is the rent charged in the local currency other than in a US foreign currency. That thing has already been amended, and actually they're giving liberty for the landlord and the tenant to have an agreement on whatever currency they want to use. That was one. Number two, we were also very conscious about verbal agreements, because in our situation, a verbal agreement cannot be quantified, neither tangible or anything. And I think there is a listening ear towards that. The other one, there was a jail terms and so forth. All those things are being listened to. Now, what I would like to mention is that there are also landlord-tenant acts in other jurisdictions, other countries, and they work. Yeah, but for us, we have been thinking, we have a tenants agreement that has been doing well. And most of the things we see happening between the tenants, it's the level of informality of doing business.
Yes.
A tenant should actually be one of those demanding a tenants agreement. In my own experience of 10 years in property management, we have no issues on the properties we manage, both in Fort Portal, Kampala and Jinja, because there is a property management company, and we make sure that every tenant, before they enter into the house or an apartment or an office space, there is a tenants agreement that specifies the rules. And
we've been going through the period of uncertainty or volatile price markets of cement, steel prices. Steel prices, it's a global issue. Cement, it's been majorly a local issue. But also, many other manufacturers or distributors of other products may not have consumers raise arms up. And the key question is, where are we headed to with the rising construction prices? What would you advise somebody to do?
Mr. Edwin, I think what we have to be assured as Ugandans, if Ugandans are not pulled towards home ownership, then that dream of self-sustainability, that dream of financial independence is far for us from reaching. When a country has its citizens owning property in terms of land and housing, there are a number of things that happen at the same time. One, confidence in builds. Two, there is what we call financial inclusion, because you cannot be financially inclusive in the financial system if you don't have what we call collateral. So home ownership is not something that actually we should actually be desiring to, but actually a right that every Ugandan should have in order for us to have a country that actually is moving towards having a big number of citizens who are wealthy. Now, having said that, the cost of construction becomes a very critical issue here. Number one, why are the costs going up? Of course, we have a very volatile shilling, which actually is running this economy. The dollar keeps fluctuating against the shilling. Now, when these guys are doing the production, the roofings and so forth, it is very hard for them to actually forecast their cost of production vis-a-vis the output at that time. Yes. So as long as the shilling keeps fluctuating against the dollar, you will have a lot of variable exchange rates, and those actually affect the final price of the product. Number two, look at it from the point of actually local capacity to produce. So I think the industries and the manufacturers who are local must be given a chance to produce at a larger scale.
Bubu, buy Uganda, build Uganda. I'm a fan of it, only to an extent that also you, when you're building Uganda, build to global standards. Because there's been that challenge. Once you're building Uganda, you get sympathy, consumerism. Who protects the citizens, the consumers in this?
Purely an issue of legislation and supervision, because we have a whole chain of hardware shops. As you said, who supervises their pricing? Because there is a wholesale price, there is a retailer price. And are those being managed? Are those being actually supervised to ensure that they are the ones which reach the final consumer? As long as there is no much oversight of that, people are going to take advantage of others. And I think that is happening from the hardware shops, it's happening to real estate agents and managers, it's happening to many industries. Let me go to where I'm familiar, the real estate business. Who makes land more expensive than it is? It is the real estate agents and managers. So if we don't have these middlemen in control, the final consumer is going to carry the burden.
Which direction then are we taking? In conclusion, wrapping up all this, in the next 10 years, 20 years, where do we see the real estate going as an industry?
Now, I will tell you this. As long as we don't appreciate as a country that real estate as an industry and a sector is here to stay. 15 years ago, there was nothing like this for land and property. So it is high time that actually we created a regulation. We have a real estate agents and management bill, which should be moving alongside the landlord-tenant bill. Now, in those legislations, the authority should be captured, as it is captured also in the housing policy. And once you have the authority, you have the technical guys who are 24/10 looking at the evolution of this sector and how it should be able to be controlled and also contribute to the economy.
So this regulatory authority would work hand in hand with the Ministry of Housing, with KCCA, because we still have issues of physical planning and etc. and etc. So this body actually would be able to create a sense of a pivotal role in connecting all the dots.
And actually at the heart of that authority, there should be the business interest. The business interest of the players, and also how that actually multiplies to the rest of the public. Because if you don't have that authority, what happens? You have these authorities that have worked. You have UNRWA, you have now the Insurance Regulatory Authority. They are there twofold. One, to ensure that the business thrives, and number two, the consumers who are the public are protected. Now, in the case of real estate, there is nothing like that. So what is happening, you have the emotions of land intertuned with the business aspect, and then you have chaos.
Okay, Vincent, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Representing Avats, of course, will always be in touch, and thank you for your input in the industry. To all of your viewers, let's continue with this conversation in the Homes magazine, on our website, propertyshow.ug, or on our Facebook page. It's the Property Talk.